Net. The federal government launched the Voluntary Asset and Income Declaration Scheme, also known as VADES, in July this year, and plans to raise at least $1 billion through it.
Now, Nigeria recorded its highest tax revenue in the year 2012 with a total sum of 5 trillion naira. The country, however, recorded a 12-year low in tax collection after the FIRS remitted 1.2 trillion naira for year 2016, same amount recorded in 2004. A report released by Punch earlier in the year revealed that only 40 rich Nigerians, 38 based in Lagos, paid tax of about 10 million naira each, totaling about 1.4 billion naira in 2016.
Now, does this mean that there are no wealthy individuals in the other 35 states and the FCT? The exclusive report also revealed that the number of private jets in the country rose from 20 to over 150 during the period Nigeria was in recession, and that each of the private jets required within the period was bought for about $50 million on the average. Now, little wonder the federal government is set to introduce luxury tax.
Yeah, Nigeria has one of the lowest tax to GDP ratio in the world at 6% in comparison with other African countries. South Africa's tax to GDP ratio is 27%, while Ghana is about 15.9%. Now, most developed nations have between 32% to 35% tax to GDP ratio. And also, value-added tax of 5% in Nigeria is amongst the lowest in the world. In South Africa, it is 14.5%, Namibia 15%, Ghana was 17.5% to 20%.
Now, excise duty on consumables that have external costs, harmful impact on health and quality of life, like cigarettes and alcohol, are also low in Nigeria when compared to other countries. In Nigeria, excise duty on tobacco is 16%. In Kenya and South Africa, excise duty on cigarettes averages 35%, while in other developed economies, it is above 100% and more.
Yeah, taxes are instruments you can use anyhow, either to discourage the the importation of some. When it has to do importation, you're talking about tariffs and all of that.
Yeah.
But taxes.
Lagos continues to blaze the trail. Remember, anytime you drive through the streets of Lagos or the roads, you see taxpayers' money in action.
In action. They say pay your tax so the government can do more.
More. Absolutely.
All right.
All right. In developed and emerging economies, taxation is a genuine source of revenue for government. Underline that word, genuine. To finance infrastructure and economic development initiatives. But sadly, that is not the case in Nigeria, as most of her working class citizens do not pay tax.
Now, out of a working population of more than 70 million people, less than 20 million pay tax. In June 2017, Finance Minister Kemi Adeosun disclosed that only 214 Nigerians bring in their largest tax revenue of about 20 million naira. Now, most of the tax revenue generated in the country are from the pay-as-you-earn system, where tax is deducted from source.
Yes, indeed. Now, in other climes, the rich pay more taxes to the government. Now, to this effect, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has urged the federal government to tax the rich and withdraw tax exemptions granted to some of them in order to shore up dwindling revenues.
All right, we have with us in the studio a financial expert, Ambrose Omordion. It's nice to have you, Ambrose. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Right. If the IMF, when it comes to IMF, in fact, growing up, the moment you mention IMF or the World Bank, people are, no.
Do you know what you remember? Yeah. Structural adjustment.
Yeah, structural adjustment, exactly. I remember.
Exactly.
And so every advice they give, every strategic projection and all of that, everyone is skeptical about it. Everybody's pessimistic about it and so on. But with telling Nigeria to tax the rich, shouldn't this really be a way to go?
Yeah, actually, to start with, as you said earlier, that tax system is used to manage the economy. And in a situation where the economy is struggling, there are ways government can show up their revenue, but it must be in a genuine. My sister mentioned that it's a genuine of growing your revenue, which we all know. But the style of taxing is what we need in Nigeria.
Okay, the style.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And at the same time, the number of people that are in the tax net is also what we need at this point. Then federal government coming with this idea after the advice from the World Bank or IMF is a good step in the right direction. Let's tax the rich, their consumption, because their consumption is what we need to tax. Because if they are bringing those things in Nigeria, indirectly they are going to influence the domestic economy. Now, inflation is what such huge consumption will encourage. But if you have slim money to spend, you consume within confine, and that also will impact on the economy positively. Then come with this idea, to me, it's a welcome development. But we need to know, as you just mentioned, the number of people in the tax net are very small. They need to do a lot of tax education. Because see where we are coming from, we are comparing 16% to 35% for other countries. That means we need to do more to encourage Nigerians to come into net. And before you encourage them, they want to see what the government is doing with the little they have.
Huh.
But is
the
it
chicken and egg situation? Yeah, which one really comes
because
first?
Is it the issue of trying to persuade them to come, or it is their duty, or it's their right, in fact, obligation to pay taxes?
It's obligation. It's their obligation to pay tax, but they need to know how to do it. Also, the government need to go all the way to educate them the importance of paying your tax. If, or as I said, like if they are seeing, like for Lagos State now, for example, I'm from other state, but for Lagos State where we are today, we can see the impact of government having more revenue from tax on the environment. If that is the result in other countries, even at the federal level, people will be encouraged to pay more tax.
But some would tell you that it is even more fundamental than that. I mean, take an average Nigerian. Yes, I'm willing to pay tax. I would love to pay tax because I want better infrastructure and all of that. But I don't have a job. Isn't that the fundamental that really should be tackled? If you tackle it at that point, then you can begin to encourage or educate people or enlighten them on the need to pay tax.
Oh, thank you. There are people who are still getting new job as we speak.
Okay.
There are some still looking for a job. It's boiled down to education and putting the infrastructure right, as you just said. But education is very important. Where I'm coming from, when I was in the university and all those stuff, we know that tax is mainly for the companies. That's the way I see tax. But when we go through the the education system, we know that we personally we also need to pay tax. Even the businessman need to pay tax. It's because of the education we have. There are some people that are still trading today in Alaba market, making money. All they need just to pay the little that the local government come to them. But they are making money. But they need to open their eyes. You need to pay more. If you are importing anything to Nigeria, that means you have a company. You're not only paying that small, you are paying to them at local government at that level. You need to understand. And if they are seeing what the government is doing also, it will encourage them. Like I always tell people that all of them want to go to UK, want to go to US because the environment is looking good. Things are working there because government are putting things in order there.
And it's the taxpayers' money that's achieving that.
People are happy to go there because
some would even tell you can get away with murder in those places, but you can't get away with
because there's a structure.
Yeah,
there's a structure that and the thing is working. We need to go there. But I think I like the step we're taking, but only that in an economy. Look at are we coming out of a struggling situation? Are we in a booming economy? These are where you use your tax to maneuver the whole system. But now we are struggling, and the number of people at that top that want to tax are very few.
Exactly.
But there are few, but huge.
I'm coming.
Okay.
They are very few, and for you to also to encourage them to declare what they have, you need to also put things around because they are living a life, let me say, an advanced life. They want a environment where they are to be more conducive for them. And if they are coughing out good money to government to pay, they need to see that money in action. That means, okay, for example, now, somebody told me that if you go to Banana Line in Lagos, you don't need to say 12 people, 10 to 12, pay the people that declared about 20 million each. If you look at the houses there, count the number of houses there alone. There are more than 100 houses there.
Yes.
Then for somebody to have such house there, you need to pay good tax. You get me now? That means government also should start. That environment is very different from the environment in Lagos. I mean, if you are staying there, I'm paying good tax, my environment should be different.
Isn't there a need for change in strategy? Not using the word, trying to encourage, but actually punishing those who don't pay tax. That's what you do.
Because actually, it is not on record. Like you mentioned, you used the word, you mentioned Banana Island now. It is not on record that everyone who lives there pay taxes. Right?
Because so there's no record to trace people that are living there. Do you have record?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
That's the real point.
But let's even get back to the issue. Before we even say, let us encourage people, let us persuade them to come. What are the structure, the mechanism by which tax is collected?
Yeah.
It is up until now, there are no records of so many companies There are no, apart from registering at the Corporate Affairs Commission, addresses of companies, some don't have signboards, no one knows where they are operating from, some operate from very obscure places and all of that.
In other words, accurate data.
Accurate data.
You know, government before now, even at this president, has spent much in collating data, either at the bank level, at the driver's license level, at the even the hospital, collecting that data. It is done on government to harness all this data and make use of it. You're not collecting just for only for the national identity card alone. They are all Nigerians. Harness all this data. Look for it. It's not that overnight thing. People have to process data and look at the ones that are correct, the ones that are not up to date. When you fill all this, you now have data or record to go after whoever you are going. You want to go and know what they are doing. But when you don't have record, you will work half-hazard. You don't move here, let them sit down first. With all this collection they are collecting here and every year, different year, because spending money on data collection, they should utilize those data. Let me tell you, the BVN alone
is enough
to
provide.
Yes, it's alone. If government is ready, work on it. You will get everybody that is living in Nigeria, they are spending pattern, you will know them. Only that,
of course, that speaks to the issue of inefficiency in tax collection. That's a major problem that the IMF has also pointed out. But there is an argument that says that taxing the rich would actually discourage growth. How do you place that in the case of Nigeria? Of course, this was an argument, you know, in the Financial Times recently. Yeah.
No, to me, it's not it's a of growth at this point. Fun. The tax you are taxing the rich one is not their source of either their company. You are talking about their own personal income you are taxing them, their consumption. The company they run is still going to pay tax to federal government, which we know that is 30% of whatever.
Okay, the luxury goods category.
Yes, that is where we are facing. That will not affect the economy. Only that it helps us even to manage our inflation. Because if you are spending almost 20,000 to buy one bottle of champagne and you just don't, the other guy around you will be worried. But if that is reduced, people will know what that things will come in or that one coming in. No, it's one of managing inflation in another way. Only that I said earlier that that is used to jungle the economy and see where it's going to encourage. Like we can't say now we want to increase company tax at this point. As we are struggling as an economy, you're going to you want to finish us.
Okay.
You get it now. This is time, even though we are giving some company tax holiday, it's necessary at this point, so that we can come out and boost our productivity. Yeah,
but the IMF is saying there shouldn't be tax holidays, that you should ensure all companies pay taxes. No. These are dynamics that one has to look into. What are the benefits in this case if we have to juxtapose them against each other?
No, when you are advised to increase your tax, you look at the environment. For example, now in the US, they are planning to cut tax. Because they know where they've reached, they know what they achieved. But it's not the figure we saw in around September, first week of September, about 0.55% were no growth. It's too minute, very marginal. We can go back to recession. On that note, you don't just take all the advice that we're giving to you, either internationally or locally. There are things that you look at to guide you. What they say at that level is okay. We can increase the tax of the rich. But you coming back home, you now draw your own strategy because our environment is different from their own environment. How can it work? Then at the same time, like what my sister just said earlier, that we need to even educate those that are collecting the tax. The staff that are collecting that, even increase the number of people that are collecting that. That is where we can get more results.
Of course, we heard from Kemi Adeosun, the finance minister, that there were plans to employ some 7,500 community tax officials to educate and enlighten people. Do we even need to really do some kind of massive campaign to enlighten Nigerians on the consequences of not paying taxes, putting it in pictures? Maybe the NOA can actually come in and all of that. Of course, we know that the FIRS has been trying to, go to the markets, and all of that. But I wonder how effective this really can be.
Though, as I said earlier, that yes, as you encourage people, you educate them, you on your own part, especially the government or the government should also use this money judiciously for people to see how they are using this money. It will encourage more that are even outside the net to come on their own. It's very important. Okay, for example now, I will tell you that in Nigeria, even the economy is recovering. CBN have made some intervention in different sectors of the economy, the critical sector of the economy. CBN also need to sit down at this point now and look at those interventions. What is the impact in that sector? Is it reflecting on the economy? Would you need to put more in that sector so that we can achieve growth? These are the things you should be doing at this point. It will also help you to know the area that government should put attention that people's life will be better. When they see that their life is enhanced and their living standard is improving, they can cover more tax for you and you see more money to spend. For example, I know how I came to Lagos in 2001. When different governments, I know I've studied the rate of growth and the increase in their net expansion, or in terms of tax expansion. That means people are seeing, they're educating. And in Lagos, I see that every day they're going to educate. Even as you drive, you see somebody that tell you that, oh, you need to pay your tax. Yes. And if you want to pay, you look at, oh, we are seeing all blue bus looking good, AC inside. Okay. If you enter, you need to cover something and pay. Things are improving. Roads are getting better within. This is what we need. Like, for example, now I was telling my friend that look at the inflation figure that was released yesterday. Yes. You see, we have just another marginal 3-point drop. And September is the month of harvest. That means the agricultural success we are putting so far is not impacting on the economy. Wow. Why I would say so? If this is the month of harvest, prices of goods, especially from the off-farm products, are still high, something is wrong somewhere.
What could it be?
They said that they will have poor harvest, or the farmers, no good roads for them to bring their goods from the farm to the hinterland, to the market where they can sell these goods. Government need to see that. That means infrastructure problem is still affecting even the agricultural sector.
And it's a function of non-payment of taxes.
And it's also, if you know that government have not fixed the road. You get it now.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yes, on this note, we need to that citizen intervention on forest market has tried to bring that price to a level. But this time that even the produce that we produce locally, the prices are high, inflation will remain. Now, what was why that we took marginal? I say yes, it will remain marginal because there are other factors that need to support what the monetary sector are doing for us to have a good inflation rate that will drop and will encourage investors and give you hope that things are improving. Yeah. But the marginal thing was that because there are other factors in terms of fiscal policies, in terms of, as you just said, who is part of tax, that is not helping the monetary policy. That is why the two policies or the two authorities need to sit down, look at, oh, we are intervening in different people in the power sector. I would say for a while, there's a little improvement in electricity. But how much
because the water level is high from the rains.
Good. How much have you, intervened with? How much have you invested in that sector? Let's CBN trying to bail out that sector. Okay, do we need to put more? How do they utilize that money? So that we have stable. Because if we have 70 to just 80% improvement in electricity, I'm telling you, a lot of problems in this country will be solved.
So it means it goes beyond government coming up with policies, but you must have systems in place where you can measure the success rate of those policies that you put in place. Do you agree with IMF when it says that there is a need to increase our VAT, that our VAT is one of the lowest in the world, 5%? IMF is recommending somewhere around 7%, as against some countries like Ghana, almost 20% in some cases.
Again, we can increase VAT to get more money to government cover, which we agree. But not overnighting. You need to put some things, let the environment be conducive for people to do business. And when they are doing business and making money, they can pay. When you are increasing, you justify your increment. But when nothing is happening, I just mentioned on NEPA, you are spending a lot of money to run your business. And you want me to pay everything to you as government? No. Because I'm running the gen myself, running everything myself. No, if I'm now having input from government that I spend less on it, then I cannot use that money to pay. So the government need to sit down.
In this recommendation by IMF, they're saying that if you increase your VAT, like taking it from what she said, if you increase your VAT to about 7 to 10%, for instance, fine, then that will enhance the economy to grow by at least 2%, additional 2% of growth. Now, in all of this growth that they are talking about, how does it translate to the standard of living of the average Nigerian, which is the main thing here?
And that is why government also should be very careful in doing your increment. You need to see what we are doing. Is it reflecting on the life of the people? For example, now I saw the chart you just showed. In 2012, I believe that we have the highest tax collection, about 5 trillion. That year, look at that year. What is the capacity of Nigeria as an economy? Look at that particular year. What is the economic activities? Are we in boom? Are we struggling? These are the things we look at. You can't excuse the people from the economy. It is the economic activities that will make people to make more money. They can pay more. But when the economy is things are struggling, you don't expect much from the people.
Okay, so tax policy changes are being recommended.
Yes.
If you were to, I always like to put it this way, if you were in a position to advise government, what kind of changes would you like to see in our tax regime right now?
The first step I would suggest the right thing is that, one, if you look at the banking sector, they talk of, banking inclusive or financial inclusive in the banking sector. That means we want to unbank some people that are not unbanked, we want to bring them. What the first step now the government should do is widen the net of the collection.
Okay.
That's number one, because if we have 180 million Nigerians and a good number is paying the tax, that is a good. And also in that time, they need to train the people that will collect this tax. And education will go along with it. Then in the process, you can always do your adjustment here and there, because we are supposed to monitor the economic growth or what's happening in the economy to know when to put increment or when to leave it flat and when to. Tax is used to drive economy, because if really the economy is struggling and you increase tax again, it's another hammer on the flesh. We need to really understand what is the position of the economy. Can we increase that at this point? The state government is taking the advice from IMF that this point we should increase the rich tax. See where come on.
Luxury tax, that the rich should bear the burden.
Yeah, it's their consumption they are taxing, because that is the most important thing.
Okay, Ambrose Amoridion, financial expert, thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.